turned me on to Stan Getz.
I was hired to do a documentary on him. I did 4 dozen interviews and stayed in his Irvington mansion with his second wife, Mon. It was so tripped out. Family's so dysfunctional it fell apart. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I went to Cuba with him, and
what?
He was my inspiration to learning to play the saxophone. And when I was on this private flight, I was playing with Billy Joel at the time. He was playing with the CBS Jazz All-Stars, and we went to Cuba together to exchange music, right? And I said, "Oh my God, Stan Getz is on this flight." So a seat had opened up, and I sat down next to him. I said, "Hi, Mr. Getz. My name's Richie Cannata." And he goes, "Oh yeah, you play with Billy Joel." I just about pooped in my pants, that he even knew. So we hung out for a week together in Cuba with Weather Report and Wayne Shorter and Jaco Pastorius and the Heath brothers, and it was pretty wild, man. It was amazing.
Wait, was Dizzy down there?
Dizzy was not.
So, I mean, can you talk? So, because there were seminal albums. And I'm talking pre-Girl from Ipanema, but I mean, for musicians only. It was like Stitt, Dizzy, and Getz. Do you remember what albums that you really got off on? And ultimately, was it just the lyricism of Stan? He never even knew where that came from, and he was a total sociopath as well. I mean, it was remarkable.
My dad turned me on to Girl from Ipanema, and then I started to go back and listen to Stan and try to get pieces of things that he's done before. I loved his sound, his hard rubber mouthpiece, or at least a version of him, until I started doing rock and roll and actually making money in this business. So it was Sonny Stitt, like you said. I mean, Sonny Rollins, Junior Walker, And here's one for you. I got to play for Dave Brubeck's 90th birthday party for him, and Paul Desmond was my guy. I mean, but that was alto. I wasn't an alto player.
Wait, hold on. Because I did the last interview ever with Brubeck, but I mean, dude, you played for his 90th birthday?
Well, check out what happened.
Oh my God.
He died the night before. I had a band with Bernie Williams was in it. It was I don't know if you checked out my solo record.
Not yet. And no, you mean the Yankee center fielder?
Yes.
Oh, that is so classic, dude. That is so classic.
So I had a band of which Joel Rosenblatt from Spyro Gyra, Julio Fernandez from Spyro Gyra, myself, Gene Perez from Willie Colon's band.
My God.
Tom Schumann from Spyro Gyra, Chris Clark. My record did great. You got to check out my version of New York State of Mind.
Oh, absolutely.
Got huge reviews, and it was pretty crazy. So by that, I was asked by the Brubeck family to put together the night before his birthday. He died.
I don't think I realized that. Holy cow.
And then the day after, we still did the concert, and everybody, the whole Brubeck family was there, and we played the concert. They had his birthday cake there, a big piano birthday cake. It was crazy, but his family wanted to do it, and his kids played with me, and it was pretty amazing. But let's go back to saxophone. Paul Desmond was one of my faves as far as alto players too.
Richie, maybe you can just talk about this. Did you ever? I don't know what year you started professionally, but I mean, you said you can make some money in this business by playing rock and roll. And I just wanted you to talk a little bit about when you joined Billy, or, when you recognize that no matter what genre of music, the music that I get off on the most, we let in with this really obscure track from Blue Mitchell. The horn player was Herman Riley, totally unsung badass from the West Coast. And, that music, it's not rock music, but there's blues in it. And at the same time, these guys it was a matter of life and death. And there was always an urgency to it. And I was wondering, when you joined Billy Joel, how did you guys approach music that wasn't in the jazz genre, but you would approach it with urgency, with dynamics, with tension and release? The biggest problem I have with modern music today is just, especially pop music, is that number one, I'm not sure if the leaders even have real talent to begin with, or if they're propped up. And then there's just all this electronic rhythm. So there's really, it's been very quantized. And the rhythm that I love is round. So I just wanted you to talk about the urgency, how you learned how you realized that music, even though you were singing for your supper, when you played, it was a matter of life and death.
Well, let's go back. This is a great topic, Jake. When we made records back then, listen to this concept. You had to play in tune, right, and play in time.
Right. You
had to sing and play in tune. And what a concept, right? There was no digital set of hands to fix. So the urgency was, if I don't play this good, I'm not going to be there tomorrow.
Dick.
There's going to be someone else that's going to play it. Not that you go back to your engineer and say, "Oh, could you fix that note? It's a little bit. The kick drum is a little bit ahead. Could you go back and just bump it back and a little pitchy on that one note I was singing? Could you fix that?" There wasn't anything like that back in the day. The very, very first song I played on. Now remember, I learned Naima by John Coltrane and played it in college, and was like, I was coming from this genre, thinking, oh my God,
that is so badass. That is ridiculous.
And now Billy Joel asked me to play, and I said, where am I going to fit in? And he played me the basic track to New York State of Mind, and that was the very, very first song I played on.
Holy cow!
I said, now I could adapt. And Billy was looking for a guy like me that had some musical ability, not just a wah-wah pedal and a pedal board. It wasn't about guitars. It was about a piano player's band and me filling in the holes, okay, of which I did on clarinet, flute, soprano, tenor, and one or two things on alto. But an amazing piano player and an amazing composer. So it was a good spot for me. So my urgency was, I got to combine the two, okay? And all the times that I played Naima, I made $0, but it was the greatest thing I ever did, right?
Absolutely.
I play a 12-bar solo in a song called Still Rock and Roll, and I put my kid through private school in NYU.
Back when there was a record business, right? I mean, the point is that
Right.
I mean, I just want to go back to Stan for a minute. When I walked into his estate, the room I stayed in had this album on Verve, which was a drummerless quartet. It was Oscar Peterson, Herb Ellis, Ray Brown, and Stan. No drummer. So my question for Richie Cannata is, really, when you first started out, you had to have your own inner time feel. Son Ra would point at Julian Priester and say, on the bandstand in Chicago, say, it's your turn. You had to feel the time, and
the timekeepers were in our hearts and our soul and our heartbeat.
How did you do that? How did you learn? Yeah, how did you learn to develop your own time? That's my point. Is that today it's like certain instruments have certain roles, but if everybody has really good time, then you can open up the rhythm section to play melodically. How did you go about developing your own time?
G.O.D.
Wow.
About God,
dig.
Bro.
I dig, bro. I love the Long Island. I love it, bro. Love it.
You can't freaking go to Walmart and buy a box of time. What was the metaphor?
I never heard that in my life. Dude, I'm gonna go buy a box of time, dude.
Yeah, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go buy a box of time, and I'll be able to play this pocket. It's also too when metronomes and click tracks came in, you could play to a click track or with a click track too. You could bend it here and there.
Sure.
But the thing was, there was no time back in those days when Coltrane was playing with Cannonball and with Miles. There was no click track, bro. All the Billy Joel records I played, there was no metronome. And 150 million records later, people are still humming our solos and listening to our lyrics. To Billy's lyrics. It's about the heartbeat. It's about, you cut me, bro, I'm gonna bleed.
I love this.
In digital recording, it's all about quantizing. It's all about beat shifting. It's all about auto tuning. It's all about melodyning. It's all about digital set of tools. It's homogenized music, but you're jamming it down these kids' throats, and that's the only thing they've got, and they need entertainment too.
Well, Richie, but the problem, Richie, the other issue is, how does that quantized, inauthentic rhythm relate to? I can't tell who you could tell Stan Getz from you know, any of the cats. I mean, you could tell
Junior Walker.
Yeah,
Right.
or like like you could tell Pete LaRocca from Jimmy Cobb to Elvin. You knew who
Right.
these cats were, everybody, just by their feel and their individual sound. And now it's like, I mean, part of it's like, I mean, for you going back to the days of Naima and cranking that free, that urgent cry of scream. I mean, there were, outside of North Texas and Berkeley, there really weren't jazz schools. I mean, Juilliard
Right.
did not have a jazz. Guys were making up the rules, and now you go to a school, you go into debt with no guarantee that you're going to walk out as a professional musician, and you wind up sounding like your professor. I mean, why
Right.
has it gotten to that point?
Well, with all the sample libraries at this point too, there's like, what sound, well, kids want to hear like a horn section in a record, right? They don't want to hear real horn section. They want to hear the sample that the Korg puts out that's made somewhere in China or Japan.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. Where before, man, as soon as Desmond started to play or Stan started to play or Coltrane or Cannibal, you know who those guys were, man.
And they just kept going, and they never repeated any ideas either. That's the thing. Did you learn Did you learn by ear before you learned to read?
Yes.
Explain how that opened your ears, because kids' ears are locked today. That's the truth.
Well, my ears got opened up by cartoons. I was about 4 or 5.
Emil Richards and Joe Porcaro, rest in peace. God bless them. Unbelievable. Go ahead. Talk about how that opened your ears.
Their orchestrations were sick, bro. I remember the first time I hear a 9 chord played by a trumpet. I'm going, wait a second, that's not the tonic. What is in those cartoons?
Oh,
right?
my God, this is great.
That's what stimulated me, and I went, I got to figure this shit out, man. How do I do this, And that was all a lot of clarinet music, too, if you remember correctly, right?
Well, it was before my time, but yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Yeah, totally.
So that's what turned me on to real music. So I started playing piano, and then a couple of years later, I just went to clarinet. Once I was on the woodwinds, I was done with anything else. I was going to be a clarinet player or saxophone player. Then somebody put a tenor in my hand, and I never looked back. So, it was about that. You had to hear real music, real instruments, and in real time.
Did you? I mean, because Sonny Stitt would come up to cats and be like, "Man, you got to learn your horn," and they'd be like, "I just want to play bebop or whatever," and then basically it was about learning every song in every key. I mean, it was the ability to unlock this paradigm of. To me, it's confounding when you listen to Stan or you listen to Coltrane. Like, I don't listen to a lot of Coltrane, but I listen to Love Supreme probably once a day. And I mean, it is just like, especially in this time, and it's like, I am like, it is like sanctified music. I mean, it was, listen, we have a game on this program called Name That Voice. I'm going to put this in for you right now, and then we'll come back and break it down.
Spiritual thing is basically when you're playing, and it's just not bebop. This is other music too, but bebop in jazz is probably that's the high end of what we do as jazz musicians. But just the spirituality comes from it's like something. Now this may sound abstract, but it's something that Wayne Shorter said to me one time. He said that the only way you can really, really, really play is that you have to go to the store and buy some milk for your grandmother. And when he said that to me and the drummer, Omar Hakim, now he had a few drinks, a 3-year-old drink.
Right.
I said, wow. But a couple days later it hit me, because, it's like to come, if you have one of those kind of families, you go to see your grandmother, she says, go to the store and get me some milk. And you go there, there's a love, there's a love for something other than just what you're looking at. It's like your own personal love, which could come from God, which could come from the force of life. It could be whatever it is that you think makes you tick.
Mm-hmm.
That if you tap into that, whatever that is, it's not a material. It's not the instrument. It's not the notes. It's the life force. And that is very, when you operate on that band, that's or on that frequency in life, that is very spiritual.
Richie Cannata, you want to take a guess at who that is?
Whoever it is, I'm on my knees bowing.
Dude, Cannata, you were from the same. I mean, he's a little bit older than you, but I mean, you're from the same bloodline. It's that was my first interview from September of 2014 with Stanley Clark. And
Stanley Clark.
Stanley,
oh
and this is what I want Cannata to riff on. I don't care if it's
sound like Stanley at all.
Well, it's the phone thing, you know. Plus, I mean, I get him out of his mindset, and he's talking like all this. This is what I want to talk about with Brothers Keeper or Billy. This idea of him talking. Wayne Shorter said to play really spiritual music, doesn't matter what genre. It's like going to the store to get your grandma some milk.
Your mother some milk.
Just riff on that, Richie. I just want you to talk about what that means to you.
Well, it's clearly this. It's the most simplest thing. It's we're the conduit to all this, okay? If you don't have that spirit to do that and feel good about that, how could you be a humanitarian? And we are humanitarians. We're messengers of God. We're messengers. We given this thing. Nobody really. Oliver Nelson might have all these patterns for saxophone, but they're patterns, right?
That's right.
When you play, and these guys play, and when we play, it comes from that spirit of going to the store and getting milk. It's as simple as that.
Not a box of what was it? A box of
box of time.
You can't get a box of time, but you go to the store. I'm telling you, Cannata, you are channeling like you were. But did you recognize it? When did you recognize that you? I mean, I've done a bunch of interviews with Keltner, and this guy was a jazz snob. He was on the bandstand trying to be like Philly Joe, and then obviously the studios opened up, and he had a family, and he had to make a decision. He didn't want to be a starving genius, but you were part of this tribal brotherhood. I mean, Liebman said it. I mean, jazz was basically a black subculture even through the 70s. I mean, what did you really want to play melodic improvisation jazz, but you recognized you didn't want to be a starving genius?
Yeah, my dad is a businessman. I studied with Dave. I studied with Joe Allard. Do you know Joe Allard?
Is he still with us?
No, he's gone.
Dude, he was a beast, man.
Myself, Mike Brecker, and David Sanborn all studied with him at the same time.
Oh my God! I cannot believe, dude. I can't believe. Go ahead, man. I'm losing my mind.
Then I started to study with Dave Liebman, right?
Oh.
And I realized I'm learning all these notes. I'm learning all this stuff, but I have to make a living at doing this. And my dad said to me, you don't need to go to music school. You already have your music. You need to parlay it into getting more time so you can make more music. So how do you get more free time? You've got to make money doing this. So then I looked towards, well, how do I do that? Look at the money's being made in pop music. And there was a music business back then, right?
Absolutely.
So I attached myself. I looked around. I saw these guys, and Billy was a perfect fit for me. An absolute perfect fit. So I got to a point with Billy, which I was one of the top 5 most recorded saxophone players in the industry. I got inducted into the Hall of Fame, the Music Hall of Fame. There's one other saxophone player in that Hall of Fame.
Coltrane.
You know who it is?
Coltrane.
That's right.
Dude, you, Cannata, let's just go back. I mean, don't clock. How did you sign up for Radio Registry and just get a lucky break to get into this? How did you actually get into the studios?
The studios were back then. It was word of mouth. And listen, you're from Long Island. We're the bastard child of New York City, but it's only 30 minutes away.
Dude, it's the greatest child, man. I love it, man.
I know, but we're really close. So I was doing sessions in the city. People knew who I was, by just word of mouth. I was on Radio Registry. I did all that, but I didn't get any gigs from that, really. Maybe a club date. Maybe
right.
Sitting in a Broadway pit subbing on third chair somewhere, but. Billy Joel doesn't go to Radio Registry and look for a sax player.
So I mean, because Billy. So how did you talk about the original conception of Cannata and Billy?
Well, I did a session for Sesame Street, and it was called "The Meter, the Leader, and the Gram."
What year? What year?
70.
Oh my God, this is so. Is it available on like YouTube or something?
No, I don't know where it is. But the irony of it was Liberty DeVito, Billy's drummer, and Doug Stegmeyer were the bass player on that session, and they had just joined Billy 2 months before. They did the basic track. The next day, I came in and did the overdubs. The engineer was Doug Stegmeyer, the bass player and the musical director for Billy's band's brother.
Oh.
So he records me and goes, wow, my brother just joined this guy, Billy Joel, who did this Piano Man record. They're looking for a guy who plays saxophone and doubles and plays keyboards. I said, well, I do. You know, they came to see me, ready for this, somewhere on Route 110. I think it might have been a bowling alley or something I was playing at.
Absolutely.
Right?
Oh, dude, yeah, okay, go ahead. Continue, yeah.
So I think it was the Huntington Bowl or something.
Oh, this is sick.
They came to see me freaking play there. They flipped out because, man, you got to come and join us. Billy was there, so I went to Ultrasound Studios in Hempstead, and they were doing a song called Angry Young Man. I said, where the hell am I going to fit? That's when he played me the basic track to New York State of Mind and said, how about that? And I went, wow, I can do this.
Wow. Wow.
I can play on this. This is in my wheelhouse.
Oh, my.
And,
this is
blowing
my mind.
42 years later, I just did a version of it that just got picked up on global awareness by Oprah. She picked it up. Fox News picked it up this week because I did something during the pandemic, and it's my version. You got to go to Richie Cannata, New York State of Mind, 2020 pandemic, and you'll see.
Dude, that is warming my heart. Wait, you know, okay, so
then the rest is history, bro. Then I was on, 7, 8 records. I don't know how many I was on. And then I decided at some point that I was done with that and I needed to move on and do something else.
So, I mean, just for that record wound up, it wound up going gold, I guess, or it got real.
Oh man, it's probably triple platinum now. The Turnstiles record. When we first released it, it was kind of like almost a hit. It was still coming off the wake of Piano Man. And after Piano Man, Billy had a record called Street Life Serenade that bombed basically, or it wasn't as successful. That's a bomb because it wasn't as big as the Piano Man record. And that's when he hired us. Me, myself, Liberty DeVito, myself, and Doug Stegmeyer to do the Turnstiles record, of which had New York State of Mind on it. And then from there was the Stranger record, and then Phil Ramone jumped on that, and then all of a sudden I'm playing clarinet on Scenes from Italian Restaurant, you know?
I just want to be clear, like because it was so beautiful because record back then, it was Joni Mitchell and Dylan and Joel. Billy Joel you could go on a ridiculously long tour and write it off as a loss, and it didn't matter because the records were making so much money. I mean, can you talk a little bit about? Did you wind up on bills with Shakti or Mahavishnu? What was the weirdest bill you guys wound up on?
We opened up for the Beach Boys.
Oh.
Okay, here's a bunch.
Oh, hit me, dude. Hit me.
Here's a bunch of guys with 516 stamped to their ass, okay?
Oh,
here's
yeah.
A bunch of
Yeah. Long
with black shirts, smoking cigarettes, cursing. Oh. And we got dark sunglasses on, and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We're opening up for the Beach Boys. Everybody in the freaking venue's got a flowered shirt on, and we're playing. And all we hear from the audience is like, where's row 7, seat number H, you know? And we're going, what the hell, you know?
Oh my God!
Pretty amazing. But Carl Wilson loved us.
I did an interview with. I did a great interview with Hal Blaine, and I asked him. I said, it's just so interesting because that original Wrecking Crew, on the back of the records, Dennis Wilson was getting credit for playing drums on those records. He didn't play.
It was Hal Blaine.
It's Hal Blaine, and I was like, why didn't in my generation as a Gen Xer? We would. That's one of the things that we get all anal about is like we need to have a company as credits. We need to have the company, and that didn't really come into rock music until James Taylor and you started to see the section, Lee Sklar, Cooch, Kunkel, those guys. But it's just interesting because the Beach Boys, those cats. they loved all music, so they knew when they heard you guys.
Right, Glenn Campbell,
Yeah.
was big with them.
Huge.
Gail, what was the bass player's name?
Carl Radel?
The woman.
Okay.
The
Oh, no,
girl.
Carol Kay, yeah.
Carol Kay. Well, the irony of the whole thing was we opened up for them. Carl loved Billy, loved the band. When I left Billy, Carl came looking for me, right?
Wow.
I joined the Beach Boys, and I played with the Beach Boys for 15 years.
No way.
Yes, sir.
Dude.
I sat with Mrs. Wilson on tour buses, and she told me how "Help Me, Rhonda" was written.
Dude, Redner was like, you got to talk to this cat Cannata. Dude, you're blowing my mind right. I mean, can you talk about in your own way how you could bring jazz aesthetics to a rock like groove so that it doesn't become a formula trip? I mean, I understand the bread was probably great, not just with Billy, but for the Beach Boys, and there's something to be said for that. But I am such a vessel and a conduit for spirituality and music. All I want is people playing as if their life depended on it, and I recognize that you had the ability to bring in more invention than just a straight 4/4 guy. I mean, you could play in odd meters. How do you do that?
That was the cool part about it. I did that, bring that into Billy's music. You're going to have to do a little research of some of the other stuff I did, and I started to play these licks and some of these things in some of the records. And I'm not a jazz guy. I have a smooth jazz record that's out. I can play, but I'm not the Coltrane. I'm not those guys.
Who is though?
Right, nobody.
No, yeah.
and let's leave it right there.
Yeah, right.
But we're a blank coherent screen, and we take bits of Charlie Parker and Sonny Stitt and Stan Getz, and you put it on your blank screen as a kid. Then all of a sudden, I started to make music, to make money in music when I decided to be myself.
Wow.
Right? I said, I'm going to have my own sound. I'm not going to of jazz into pop music. Now, if you check out some live performances of me doing New York State of Mind, I do a cadenza at the end that I blow jazz. It freaks these people out because they don't know what the hell it is. In the Billy Joel audiences. So
yeah, and I feel like that's you're nailing. Because part of me just wants to be like Lee Morgan or Miles was like, man, to the audience again. They weren't drawing 20,000 seat arenas like Billy, but it was like. I feel like these audiences that come to hear the hits, like they need to hear stuff they don't necessarily know what's going on, and because they'll dig it anyway. I mean, that's what made Bill Graham so freaking awesome, is that he was like, you're going to dig Malo, you're going to dig the Preservation, right. You're going to dig Sons of Champlin, whether you know it or not, and it's just, to me, it's like, did Billy, early on especially, when you guys were first still just working things out and maybe it was a little bit looser, I mean, was there a tune, I'm just not really, it's not my bag per se, even as a Long Islander, was there a tune or any tunes that Billy would you could leave the head of the tune and then really stretch on live?
New York State of Mind.
How long?
I could.
Wow. All right, I'm going to go out.
I had a cadenza at the end. Billy can go and get freaking lunch, get a haircut, take a nap, and I'll still be blowing at the end.
Cannata, I'm so psyched. We got another Name That Voice. You are going to be dying. I've done 1,500 radio interviews. This one is right up your alley, and we'll come back.
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I remember. It's funny because that was the sessions that I remember were sessions where something kind of funny or screwy happened, and that's why I'm sure the Cecil record was probably just we came in. I get asked about, for instance, Berlin, other records. I had a friend. It's funny. I just happened to last night, and I'll get back to your
sure,
question.
No problem.
But I did a lot of work for a producer. I could never remember his last name. I remember it was Bob. And I was online last night doing my thing, looking around, researching, and saw it might have even been one of your interviews, Alan Schwartzberg, talking about Bob Ezrin. And then after all these years, I said, of course, Bob Ezrin.
Oh, my, dude, I just transcribed that. Yeah, when he said the name, I didn't know. I was listening back to the interview because it's always very happenstance, what I just depend on what I transcribe, and he's talking about this story about, it's an Alice Cooper session. I'm just so, this is why I do the show, because of the 6 degrees of separation. There he is, Bob Ezrin, boom.
Yeah, so that opened up that was last night that I found a bunch of interviews from Bob. He was very helpful and got me on a lot of really great records like Lou Reed's I'm on Berlin. But his sessions were always really well organized, so I don't have any memory of any of them, because he was just really thorough. So you just go in, the music was there, you read the music, thank you, and see you later, and then it all goes in one ear and out the other. I had lunch with Lou Reed. That's all I remember about Berlin, me and Mike and Bob Ezrin, who now I thankfully remember his last name. Anyway, with regards to the Born to Run session, Mike and I and Sanborn and a wonderful trombone player, Wayne Andre, were on that. And we show up to this session, which was at the Hit Factory. And I did know Bruce. We had hung out a couple times, just kind of, at a club. And I remember I was over at his apartment or something. A girl I was seeing was his manager's secretary. So somehow...
Was he had some, according to Max Weinberg, he could play some jazz on the guitar.
Well, I never heard of him.
That's okay. I just wanted to know. I wanted to know if you ever saw it. Yeah.
Songwriter.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, you were hanging with him, and
So I did know him a bit personally.
Sure.
I forget the circumstance. I just remember being in a bar, and also I don't know if it was his apartment or someone else's, doing something. I forget. But we show up to the session, and there's music on the stand, but there's no notes on the music. It says 10th Avenue Freeze Out.
Oh, man.
A blank sheet of paper. And we're looking at each other and we're saying, we weren't really hired to do an arrangement. Plus, 10th Avenue Freeze Out was a little out of our comfort zone, because it was really rock and roll. Particularly me and Mike and Sanborn, if it was in our comfort zone, we were great at jamming up parts. It would have been a little more in the R&B or funk element. But we were kind of stymied by this. And we worked hard at it, but it was like pulling teeth. A couple hours went by, and we had the nucleus of an arrangement. Wayne was helping out. He was really out of his element. He was an older cat.
I love this, dude.
Yeah. So
I love this.
We're a couple hours into it, and all of a sudden in the booth, the door opens, and it's like a fireball through the door. This guy comes in saying, "Wait a minute, that sounds terrible. That's not it. That sounds terrible." And we're like taken aback, and it turns out that was Miami Steve Van Zandt. That's the way we met.
Oh man!
and there's an interview I've heard telling the same story from his perspective, and then he got it when he found out who we were. The supposed king of the studio cats. He got embarrassed that he kind of treated us with kind of disrespect. It's kind of funny, but anyway.
Let me just ask you: Were you jamming? Were you jamming the part? Richie, thanks for sitting through that. You know who that is?
No, but I thought it was going to be Lou Soloff in the beginning, but it wasn't.
Well, that's
what did he play?
That was my third interview with Randy Brecker.
Randy Brecker. I played with Randy. I thought it was Randy, and Michael was probably on it as well.
He said because it was Sanborn, him, and Mike, and they walked in and they were they were stymied by the rock. They couldn't put an arrangement together because it was out of their bag, and so little Stevie came firing out. They eventually, and then that was 10th Avenue Freeze Out. And I wanted you to talk. If just for somebody who's going to listen to this well after we've left this planet, I just wanted to ask you about how, like Blood, Sweat, and Tears with Bobby Colomby, they would go, they'd have 2 weeks in the studio, and, it was just a debaucherous situation, but, ultimately they'd jam up the tunes, and then they'd be they'd be hot, they'd be ready to go, and then they might do the rhythm tracks, and then they do the horns and the vocals, but could you talk about the recording process, especially early on with Billy? Did you guys hit at the same time? Was there a lot of overdubs? Today, everything, you can ring everything to death, and like you can drain all the soul out of it because you're spending, you're doing 400 takes of a song. Can you just talk about the recording process and the organic nature of it?
Yeah, we were set up live, and so Billy sang and played piano at the same time. I'd say 95% of those vocals were done while he played piano. All my sax solos were first take. Maybe I'd get a second shot at it. Remember, it was 24-track tape. There wasn't a lot of tracks to experiment and do composites and stuff. So you had to get it right the first time, So our thing was, I also played keyboards with Billy. So I had a B3 set up, and I would play my parts just basically live. We'd be at A&R Studios on 52nd Street, and there'd be my booth that had my horns all set up. I played percussion, and Liberty played drums. Doug played bass. Steve Kahn played guitar.
Oh, dude, Steve, are you kidding me?
No, Steve Kahn, Huey McCracken,
and
Hiram Bullock. Yeah, they were our guitar players that were in. We all were in the same freaking room, bro, and we just made those records. That's why they sound the way they do. And it was like 24 tracks. We only each had a track, so you better get it right. And we would go there at, 11, 12 o'clock noon, have some lunch, and by 5 or 6 o'clock, we had cut the track. We'd rehearse it, play it, nail it, do it a couple of times, and we'd pick one, and that would be it. That'd be the track.
Just for the record, I mean, like, you were playing B3?
Yeah, B3, and I played...
you played... dude, I mean, tell me that you saw back in the day in Long Island, guys like Groove Holmes or Jimmy McGriff or Jack McDuff. I mean, did you see those? That to me was the most... I mean, the Huntington Bowl, organ drums, that was the thing going on back in the mid-'60s.
I had a band with a guy that this guy Sardo, I forget his first name, Bob Sardo. He played B3, no bass player. He played left-hand bass, and he had some foot pedals when he wanted to go back and forth, and was a drummer and a sax player.
Dude, he was kicking pedals. This is the sickest thing. This is when music made sense. I mean, dude, so you were like McCracken, Bullock, Kahn. They each played different roles, right? I mean, they were all playing different parts.
These cool parts. Steve Kahn came up with some great parts, and so did Hiram. And all the holes were filled by me. There wasn't any guitar solos, if you think about it. There really wasn't any guitar solos. Maybe down on you may be right. I played an alto solo on that. There was a guitar solo on that song. But basically, these guys played parts, but they were set up. You got to see some of the videos. Look at the Saturday night videos that we did. It was Huey McCracken, it was Steve Kahn, me, Liberty, Doug, and Billy.
This is, dude. Can you? I'm like basically speechless. Can you talk about Brothers Keeper with Scott Redner?
Oh yeah. If I'm allowed to.
Well, I mean, you know what it is. Like I saw him with a pickup band in Vail with a dear buddy of mine on drums, Mark Levy, and I didn't realize that he had this other group, and he started to talk about it, and then he mentioned your name, and that's why we're actually on the. I mean, I'm totally.
Brothers Keeper, these guys are freaking awesome, bro. These guys are great. The drummer, John Michelle, is a friend of mine. He's also a Queens, New York, Long Island guy.
Oh no,
and I know him
Long
for
Island,
years. And all my productions, when I did music like for Northwest Airlines and stuff, I put John Michelle on all these tracks. I got him to play with a girl named Kathy Tricoli. I put him on the Tonight Show. We played, with Brentford Marsalis.
Oh yeah.
This is my friend John Michelle. He went out to Colorado and met these guys, Michael Jude and Scott, and put this band together, right? Well, they came to me for saxophone. Of course, I go out there once a year, and like we briefly said this afternoon, I would be out there for 4 days, do 5 gigs, and do some skiing, and just about get myself back to the airport and die,
No, dude, Redner will run you ragged on the slopes, man.
Oh yeah, and then when you get done doing a private, he puts you in his club. He's got a great club.
The Shakedown Bar, right?
Shakedown.
Yeah, no, that was where I drove from Tucson to the Shakedown Bar in one day, dude, to see my buddy, and then Redner's on the bandstand singing Marvin Gaye tunes. I'm like, this is insane, man. So you're not, I would assume you're not going to be out there for this concert next week.
No, I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
We're doing a lot of stuff with these guys, but we can't leave New York. We're quarantined,
Well, we are too. I mean,
we're
we're
not letting
yeah,
people.
yeah.
We're not letting people even into our state.
Right.
It's
So
like-
I was curious because I know that Cuomo is putting the woodshed on people that are coming from the epicenters, but you actually, it's the same. It's going out too. You can't. There's no flights.
Well, the thing is, I can go out, but then I can't come back.
Yeah, not cool. You don't want. Yeah, that's.
So if I decide to go to Miami right now, I'm there, and then when I come back, I have to be quarantined for 2 weeks or not come back.
Oh, jeez.
It's not worth leaving.
No, dude, it's absolutely not worth leaving. We've been thrown into this eternal dysfunction and pause and insanity, but I wonder, you've obviously, your dad was a businessman. He gave you some incredible advice. You've had a tremendous amount of monetary success in the field of music, which is really hard in today's world. So many of my friends, the only way you make music now is by road dogging it. And even with that, you're barely making it. And I wonder,
Right.
I worry so much. I mean, I was traveling all over the country before coronavirus as a rogue journalist. I was Pacific Northwest, California. I was going to the Brooklyn Bowl in New York, seeing all my friends, seeing the band, the music that I like. And now it's like I'm getting these solicitations to go to, clubs in Denver, jazz clubs, and, the requirements and the restrictions. And what I mean by the restrictions is like movement restrictions. Like when I go to see music, man, it's Naima. I don't care what it is. It's healing. It's letting the body dance.
Right.
And all of a sudden it's like no dancing, no this. You have to stay with your party. I mean, what is not that you're a prophet, but how worried are you, especially with the current administration and their lack of understanding of the arts? How worried are you that, I mean, it was already hard to begin with before coronavirus for musicians. What is your biggest concern about when we get out on the other side, whenever that is?
Well, to start off with that, if I had done their mixes here and I've done my saxophone parts for them here,
Yeah.
so I still have a business doing that. But the thing is this whole world, and check this out, this whole world is plugged into this big wall socket, okay? It's this huge three-pronged wall socket, and everybody's connected to that, either with internet, their devices, their cell phones, their iPads, their whatever it is, whatever device, they're all connected to that, right? You pull that freaking socket out of the wall, they all go soft. I don't. I can take my saxophone out, and I'll send you something that I just did, the Star Spangled Banner in this plaza in Glen Cove. There's a street named after me, right?
What?
I'm not.
Dude, I'm going to be
afraid-
the next time. The next time I'm going right to Glen Cove. We're catching a hang, dude. Next time I can get back to New York.
You're coming to me. I will send you. Well, you could go to my Facebook page and see it. I decided on 4th of July to do that. Say, freak it, I'm just going to go to my street
Yep.
and play in the plaza, and I played the Star Spangled Banner, and it went viral. Okay,
Dude, why are you? You're always.
Need,
It's just. Go ahead. Sorry.
I don't need. It's like, oh my God, what are we going to do? I'm going to go play somewhere, bro, because I have my own sound, my own piece of plumbing that has a bunch of holes in it that I cover it with leather pads, vibrate a piece of wood in a mouthpiece, and that's me.
Dude, you're like, I got to send you that Phil Woods record that nobody has on this private press with him playing an Echoplex on his saxophone. I mean, you really,
oh my God.
you could take it way out.
You want to know something? Randy Brecker, myself, and Mike Brecker try to do this. We put holes in our necks so we can have an Echoplex and a wah-wah pedal.
I mean, Brecker was playing with Dreams, and Miles Davis came to see him, and that's where next thing you know, Miles was playing with a wah-wah pedal. It was Brecker. Brecker was unbelievable.
I tried that for 5 minutes. The
point, okay, but listen, you are doing, it is, the music chose you. You are a conduit for the music.
Right.
What is so you can go out in a situation, you have the technique, you have the feel, you can go to your street, you already have an identity. That was the magic of vinyl and the medium that we listened to it, because it gave all these accompanists an identity. And
it was catching that moment, bro.
Yeah.
You know, onto vinyl. You know, I have played How I Met Bernie Williams. I was playing the Star Spangled Banner for the Yankees. I'm in front of 55,000 people, right? No volume pedal, no chorus pedal, no distortion pedal. Just me going out there and standing in front of a microphone and playing.
Jesus.
You know, and I could have done it without a microphone.
Was it a packed house?
But that 55,000.
Dude, that wait, what year was it? 95, David Cohn era? What year was this?
It was the playoff game against the Astros last year.
Dude, please tell. So you blew natural, and it just went. You went out.
Like I said to you, I'm not plugged into that wall. You know, I got a call today to somehow play. They want me to play the Star Spangled Banner for opening day, but we can't get to the stadium because I got to be quarantined. I got to have my temperature. I got to have a test. So they might Zoom me in for opening day.
Wait, hold on for a second. Wait, hold on a second. Again, it's weird with no fans. But why wouldn't you? If you could go. You could go live there, but you'd have to get tested and stuff.
No, I got a call today from the Washington Nationals, who are playing the Yankees. They want me to. They're entertaining me playing for the opening day. This is their problem. I can't walk into the stadium unless I am fully tested, right?
Yep.
My temperature is taken, or I'm quarantined, right? So I got to bring my manager with me, so he's got to be that as well. And as far as the agent, she has got to be as well. They don't want us three people in any environment there that one of us could possibly have coronavirus and give it to a ball player, and then the season is over.
Dude, this is madness. I'm sorry. I mean, this. So they wanted to get you down to D.C. Basically. It's a home game for the Nationals.
Right. It was today. The conversation was today. So, but
I cannot believe
it's not going to happen. So then they said, "Well, can we do a Zoom?" I said, "Sure, but what are you going to do with Zoom? Put it on your social media?" You know,
no way, dude. Cannata cannot be doing Zoom at the fifth. Going back to the opening, so you blew $55,000 and then $55,000, and Bernie came up to you. That was the first time you met him.
The first time I met Bernie, yeah, and he said, "Man, I play guitar," and I said, "I knew he did." And I did all these great Yankee gigs for them. You know, I played for David Cohen's 20th anniversary of his Perfect Game. Right?
Oh my God!
I played for Joe Torre's Safe at Home Foundation. Oh, I played for the Yogi Berra Museum when they did the Yogi Berra at the Plaza Hotel.
My dad's favorite. My dad's smiling ear to ear right now. I cannot even believe. Did you ever play with Bob Shepard when he was still the PA announcer?
Oh yes, and he said my name.
Oh my dude! See, that's it. This is it. This is it.
Yep.
Cannata.
And I'm a Yankee freak, bro. So Bob Shepard said my name.
Dude, Bob Shepard. I mean, Richie Cannata. You know, it's like unbelievable, dude.
Eric
dude. I mean, it's God, man. You know, Richie, we got to do.
The new guy now is great too. The guy who does All Rise, he's great.
Well, yeah, there's just something about that old Yankee Stadium. My favorite team. My brother and I we were big anti-New York. We love the Tigers.
I played the old Yankee Stadium and the new.
Yeah, I'm out in Tucson. They're playing reruns of the Diamondbacks Yankee series, which was an incredible freaking series, and I'm watching Tino Martinez take that 2-out home run off Byung-Hyun Kim, and I'm just like, this is surreal. And
the pitch before, was that a strike or not?
Well, no, I don't even know. The guy was mowing people down, and somehow he got the bat on the ball and it went out of the park. I was like,
Tino yanked it out, bro.
Oh man, dude.
Cannata, I get to meet all these guys. These guys know my name. I freak out when I see them, bro. You know,
dude, I can't believe the bag. I mean, dude, you've lived a magical life.
I played the Star Spangled Banner this year for spring training. I went down to spring training and played, and Aaron Boone is like my buddy. He asked me if he could touch my saxophone. Can I touch your horn? I go, you bet you can, bro.
You see, Bernie is so nasty because he's like somewhere between Latin jazz and Kenny Burrell. Like that dude is nasty guitar player.
We got a nomination for a Latin Grammy. Yeah, I did his record. Yep.
Oh my God, dude!
Yep.
You know, Richie, can we set up a time to do part 2? I just feel like we're just kind of getting cooking here, dude.
We can.
Yeah.
We can.
It's truly an honor. I mean, Redner, I really wish that you in some way could get some sort of helicopter out to Vail to play that concert, because it's gonna Redner told me, he's like,
I will be doing. Listen. I'm not dead yet, bro. I have been playing with these guys for 10 years. I will be going out there to do a gig with them soon again somewhere, because I am their token horn player when they want. They did John Poplar for a while. Remember him?
Sure.
From the Blues Travelers.
Oh yeah.
Him and I did some. We would both be on the gig together with them. Me and John Poplar on the same stage with Brothers Keeper. It was sick, bro. It's freaking crazy. Those guys are great.
Listen, just be safe. You've had divine timing. What an honor, man. Be cool.
And likewise, man.
Right.
Give me a call. I
have a few. I'll call you later. I'll call you later on. We got to talk about a couple things.
You got it, man.
All right, man. Be good.
You, man.
Be good.
My honor, man.
No, thank you, brother.
Bye-bye.
Late. What a legend. Richie Cannata. Thank you, Scott Redner. This is the Jake Feinberg Show. See you tomorrow.